O.J. Simpson was a famous American football player and movie star nicknamed The Juice. But his fame reached unprecedented levels of celebrity status when he was charged with the vicious murder of two people, his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and a passerby, 25-year-old Ronald Goldman. Chances are you already know that Simpson was controversially found not guilty in what still remains one of the most highly publicized criminal court trials in American history. The 1994 case was filled with plot twists, courtroom drama, and even a fugitive chase. Yet there are still plenty of details many people don't know about, and there's a whole new generation of Americans who have no idea that the Kardashian dynasty got its big break by helping a killer walk free. But is he a killer? What's the evidence against him? How did the defense get him off? To answer these questions, we need to start with the tumultuous marriage of O.J. Simpson and Nicole Brown Simpson. O.J. was born in the housing projects of San Francisco, but would do well for himself with a career in the NFL, although he had started dabbling in acting while negotiating a contract with the Buffalo Bills. Nicole was working as a waitress in a nightclub when they first met in 1977. Even though at that time O.J. was already married with 3 kids. They started dating and he divorced his first wife in 1979. Then they tied the knot in 1985 and claimed, "Till death do us part." By now he had retired from sports, but his Hollywood career was going strong, with a streak of hits including the Naked Gun comedy trilogy. However, things weren't so sweet at home. The 2 children they had couldn't save the 7-year marriage. Nicole filed for divorce in February of 1992. During their time, Simpson pleaded a no-contest charge to spousal abuse, with Nicole's friends confirming that O.J. had been having multiple affairs. He was even rumored to have bedded Kris Kardashian, with some believing he fathered Khloe. He denies this, of course, but then again, he would. The rumors didn't stop Kim and her clan calling Simpson Uncle O.J., and it didn't stop their late father Robert from joining his best buddy's defense team. Yet as far as welcome embraces go, Simpson was not liked by Nicole's friends. They said he was an angry misogynist, with one friend claiming she witnessed him groping Nicole's groin and exclaiming, "This is what women are for." Alas, her friends could not get Nicole to take note of all the red flags. She and O.J. tried to patch things up at one point, even continuing to sleep together, but in the end, they called it quits. It seemed the drama was finally over. It's 10:15 p.m. on June 12, 1994, and a dog can be heard barking in the darkness. By midnight, neighbors on the narrow street finally have had enough of the noise and go to investigate. The dog leads them up to a path of a nearby house where the bodies of Nicole and Ron are found drenched in blood. And when we say drenched in blood, we mean it. Puddles of liquid flowed down the tiled path, filling the grouting in a red cross-stitch pattern. Their bodies had defensive wounds and deep puncture holes. Nicole's throat had received such savage cuts that she was almost decapitated. It was clear that both victims had died in a frenzied attack by a rage-fueled killer. The house belonged to Nicole, but Ron's arrival was not planned as he had only gone there to pick up a pair of glasses as a favor for someone else. Police arrived and find a blood-stained glove, a knitted hat, and a bloody footprint. A detective calls O.J. to inform him that his wife was dead, to which O.J. replies, "Who killed her?" The police had not informed him that the case was a homicide. He was questioned for 3 hours, then released. Once they had enough evidence to charge him 3 days later, O.J. went on the run. The sight of O.J.'s white Ford Bronco in a slow chase along the LA freeway is such an icon of the 90s that it was even parodied in Shrek 6 years later. Yet O.J. wasn't driving. He was the passenger. The driver was his friend Al Collings, who explained that he didn't stop because O.J. was holding a gun to his own head. This guy was so cold-hearted that he was holding himself hostage. During a call to the police, O.J. says things like, "I deserve to be hurt," and "All I ever did was love Nicole." He would eventually surrender himself to the authorities at his home many hours later. Inside the car, police find a gun, $8,000 in cash, plus a fake beard with a tube of adhesive glue. It seems Simpson's idea of a disguise was from an episode of Scooby-Doo. O.J. was made the prime suspect. He had motive. Ex-husband with a history of sexist behavior and violence gets jealous of the rumored relationship between Nicole and Ron. He also had means. A limo driver was due to pick O.J. up for a flight to Chicago at 10:30 p.m., but no one answered the intercom. However, just before 11 p.m., the driver sees a 6-foot, shadowy figure walking across the driveway to the house. When he buzzes again, O.J. answers, claiming that he overslept and had just come out of the shower. O.J. was living just 6 minutes away from the murder scene. A hat from the scene contained O.J.'s hairs, and the glove contained blood from O.J., Nicole, and Ron. It also matched a glove found within O.J.'s estate, which also had the same blood DNA. This glove was discovered behind the guest house where Brian Cato Kalin was staying. The day after the murder, O.J. asked Cato, "You saw me go into the house, right?" Cato had not. So was this O.J. trying to create an alibi? Cato did say that the days before the murder, O.J. was brooding about his ex-wife's sexual adventures and admitted to have seen her in her home having sex with a former boyfriend. Blood was also found in his driveway, and his shoe size matched the bloody footprint with an identical sole pattern to a pair of shoes which O.J. owned. Finally, we have the murder weapon. The knife that the coroner predicted the killer used was found to have been recently purchased by, you guessed it, O.J. However, both the knife and the shoes mysteriously went missing after the murder. Surely this is an open and shut case, right? That's what most people thought. So let's talk about how he got off.
Orenthal James Simpson, not guilty of the crime of murder in violation of penal code.
First, the defense team showed that some evidence had been incorrectly packaged. This planted a seed of doubt, which was fertilized with what the scientists might call BSing the jury about DNA. The public's understanding of forensic evidence wasn't as strong as it is today, so undermining its reliability and accuracy was easy. Next up was the glove. The prosecution was against O.J. trying it on because the preserving process of freezing and unfreezing it for testing meant the leather would have constricted. But what the defense knew was that O.J.'s hands would swell up if he suddenly, and by complete coincidence, stopped taking his arthritis medication. Here's where his lawyer, Johnny Cochran, coined the catchphrase, "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit." Hands down, Cochran was why O.J. got off. He argued the suspicions against O.J. were motivated by racism.
This is a blockbuster. This is a bombshell.
To aid in this narrative, he planted photos of O.J. with black people to his home when the jury visited. Most of the photos of O.J. were with white people. This strategy was great because the Rodney King riots were still fresh in the minds of LA citizens. But the thing that really cemented this idea was the audio recording of Mark Furman, the first LAPD detective to step inside O.J.'s estate after the murders occurred. During a single recording sitting, Furman used racial slurs over 40 times. This was the man who said that he, and he alone, discovered the bloody glove. And just like that, O.J. went from a suspect who was caught red-handed to a victim of racist police conspiracy. Christopher Darden of the prosecution team, himself a black man, tried to cut this off at the pass by arguing this tactic was designed to upset black jurors by making them ask whose side they are on, the man or the brothers. And he was right. After 4 hours, they reached a verdict of not guilty. One jury member later told journalists that they would have found O.J. Simpson not guilty no matter the evidence. But let's play devil's advocate. What are the alternative theories? First up, we have convicted serial killer Glenn Rogers. His brother said that on his deathbed, Rogers confessed to the slayings. However, he also added that he'd been hired by O.J. to steal a pair of earrings and, quote, kill her if she got in the way. This theory isn't that strong because Rogers was apparently in jail for 6 weeks. Plus, serial killers like to admit to stuff they didn't do. The last suspect is someone closer to home, Jason Simpson, the son of O.J. from his first marriage. According to Bill Deere, one of the few private investigators to be inducted into the Police Hall of Fame, Jason was on probation for attacking a former boss with a knife. He also had a history of violence against women and had been diagnosed with intermittent rage disorder, but had stopped taking his antipsychotic medication. Deere says that Jason's alibi of working at a restaurant is flimsy because the time card is handwritten, and claims that O.J. was prepared to take the fall for his son's crimes. However, this argument is based on circumstantial evidence and doesn't account for the DNA on the two gloves from the two different locations. Plus, what's the motive? As for O.J., since the case was declared unsolved, he disappeared from the limelight, obviously. But he did write a book called, quote, "If I Did It," which contains insights into how the murder was committed. But he's just being hypothetical, right? The Goldman family sued him in 2007, so at least he's not profiting from their death. In 2007, O.J. was convicted for armed robbery and kidnap in a new case and sentenced to 33 years, but parole was granted in 2017. All this is to say that the killer of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman is still out there. Unless you know who did it, of course. Tell us your theories in the comments. Leave a like if you want more videos on historical court cases, and share this with someone who loves a celebrity scandal. Lastly, hit subscribe because we'll be back soon.